Become a general of mighty armies at the Kings of War Hub. Take command of elves, dwarves and orcs in this game of masked fantasy combat on beastsofwar.com. In a world controlled by massive corporations, a steady aim and split-second decisions are needed for your megacon to complete its goals. Begin your missions at the Mercs Hub on beastsofwar.com.
Hey guys, and welcome to the show. So, Simon, in this episode, we're going to be having a look at the mighty Hades.
We are.
Now, I've had some experience of the Hades. It's quite a devastating thing. And so far, the only tactic I have is avoid it. But in the tournament that I played in recently, one of my Team Ruby teammates, I think he had 2 or 3 of them.
He had 3, because I faced him in the final game. He had 3 of them.
He was demolishing buildings left, right, and center.
He was.
So I know that they're good for buildings, but the purpose of this video is for us to learn tactically what's the best way to use them. What's the most effective things we can do with them? And if you're interested, come on over to Backstage on beastsofwar.com, where the XLBS version, the extra long Backstage version of this show, is up for Backstagers, where we'll be looking at how we combat the Hades. And that is fascinating because I really need to find out how we combat it. So Simon, Hades 101. What's the tactical bread and butter of this thing?
It's arguably the most powerful unit in the game.
Yeah.
It's got 8 damage points, which is just horrific, where most things have 1 or maybe 2.
Mm-hmm.
It's got, well, 4 different types of weapons.
Don't gloss over the fact that not only does it have 8 damage points, it regenerates as well, doesn't it?
Yes. Well, it's got 3 main weapons, and then the nano machines. So its primary weapon is the big tail gun.
Yeah.
It's got a 36-inch range, which is huge for drop zone. I mean, it's massive. It fires off 3 shots, which is pretty good.
Yeah.
But not it's not groundbreaking. However, it's unique in drop zone because it can fire at different targets with 1 weapon.
It just
it strafes its way across targets. So if they're close to each other, it can hit 3 tanks. So it can put 1 shot at each tank.
And what strength are those shots?
Those shots are energy 12, which is pretty disgraceful.
Oh.
And it's 3s to hurt the best armor in the game.
Yeah.
And 10, and obviously 2s for anything else.
So your standard little anti-tank tanks for the UCM is a very good. Was that 2s followed by 2s, or
2s followed by 3s to destroy their basic tanks from 12 inches further away than their maximum range.
Yeah. So there's nothing they can do with that.
You're just tearing them apart. Then on top of that, comes with 2 little underslung miniguns.
Yeah.
They're pretty strong, energy 6. So they can't hurt real tanks, but they can tear apart light vehicles.
Yeah.
And they can damage buildings. So it's got a little bit of protection from being overwhelmed by swarms of smaller things.
Yeah.
On top of that, it's got the nano machines that you mentioned.
Yeah.
Now, the white nano machines can heal a wound on it every turn.
Right.
The black nano machines can be used to place a 4-inch template. This is the biggest template we have in Drop Zone, and it doesn't require line of sight. So I can fire them over buildings and land.
Does it use the scout rules and stuff?
Yes,
as well?
it uses all the same indirect fire rules. So if it will be affected by those modifiers, but it gives it the option. And if, of course, it can see its target itself, then there's no modifiers at all, and it can cause real carnage. So this is the thing that if you see a juicy set of tanks coming towards you, this thing's just rubbing its hands with glee. Because those black nano machines can tear apart swathes of them with 1 template, and then its tail gun can finish off the survivors.
Well, let's start from the start then, okay? Deployment. You can come in on a dropship.
It can. It comes on the Poseidon heavy dropship.
Yeah.
And it is quite slow. So if you choose not to bring it on with a Poseidon, it's going to be struggling to get up the board till really late game. And even then, it's not going to be that far up the table. Now, as the black nano machines are only an 18-inch range, that's half the range of its main gun, you don't have to use them. Obviously, you can bring them on the back of the board, save some points, and it can pound away with its main gun. It might get its smaller guns in range later on, but you're not making the most of it. To get the most out of it, you really want the Poseidon dropship.
Yeah.
So it can come on, you bring it on maybe 12 inches in turn 1, turn 2 you deploy it. So except you don't have to fire the first couple of turns.
Yeah, so
and then from turn 3 onwards, you're using it to its full capabilities.
He's almost halfway up the table at that point. other stuff may still be out of range, but nothing is out of range for it.
No.
You know, the attacking it, you may or may not be in range, but it's going to be pretty much.
Yeah, I mean, it really depends what you're facing. If you need to get to the back of the table, then probably going on full distance in turn 1 is a good thing. It might be that they're coming towards you quite aggressively, at which point you bring the Poseidon on half in turn 1, get it out, move it half, and then you find you're firing from turn 2, and it's in a great position.
Now, clearly you have options with this thing again, right? This is certainly not a one-trick pony.
No.
Okay. I know it's good against buildings. Are you wasting it just using it on the buildings, or is it so effective against buildings that you for a game where you're trying to find objectives in the buildings, it's a classic way to use it? Maybe
I think you are wasting it. If I'm honest, you've got better units in the PHR army. The ENYO is fantastic at building demolition. It can do it from the back of the board, like this can, but it fires more shots. It's got Demolisher 2, and you can get quite a few ENYOs for the points cost of this thing.
Yeah.
It's great at building demolition, but it's not the best. It's better at killing tanks.
So a tank hunter then?
Tank hunter, yeah. Masses of armor, this thing tears them apart.
Okay, now I know that. I can see the aerial denial possibilities of it as well, because clearly, if that thing is sitting along, maybe an open lane of fire or whatever, my tanks are going to get boxed in because the only option I have is to drive in front of it. It's not anti-air, so it can't reaction fire or anything like that. So I just need to make sure that I don't get caught about it. So I'm constantly going to be thinking about it. That and the fact that it's so big means that it's one of them like golden things that's just sitting there constantly preying on my mind.
You're constantly worrying about it. It's almost like it's got its own fear factor. You're so worried about what it might do to you that you've got to be quite careful not to make mistakes and overreact and panic when you're facing it.
How do PHR players normally play it then, Simon? What are the best guys doing with it? Are they just marching it straight up the middle of the table, not worrying about it? It's got a lot of wounds. And just trying to pick off as many tanks of the opponent as possible, or are they being more careful with it? Are they trying to defend it behind something? Or
I think with everything else, with the PHR, they're very slow. As a faction, they're the slowest faction. You need to make sure you deploy it correctly.
Yeah,
you don't want it off one flank. Generally speaking, you want to put it somewhere at the center where it can respond to multiple threats. It doesn't necessarily need to be hidden behind things. It is only armor 9, and I say only because that's still pretty good. But it's not armor 10.
Yeah.
So it can be damaged by anti-tank weapons. It can be doubled out by certain weapons. So it will fall eventually. However, I wouldn't send it off by itself, but then it doesn't need all the army around it.
Yeah. You
can have a little bit of, a few units in support.
What would be your typical kind of support units that you might pair it up with?
Anti-air, really. It's got no anti-air itself. If your opponents catch it, or can get access to it with aircraft, with gunships, they can pound away, and they will eventually chip it. And
so your choice PHR anti-air unit would be
probably the Phobos.
The Phobos,
yeah. I mean, the Helios is very good, but it's more of a hunter-killer. You want something that's good to defend this, and the Phobos will do that.
Yeah,
it can almost keep pace with this, but it's got a massive range of 24 inches, which is plenty to reaction fire with. So if they come around corners trying to get you with gunships, the Phobos should be able to take care of them.
Yeah,
or at least make them think twice.
Fantastic. Okay, guys, post in the comments below if you have any questions about the Hades or any tips or tactics of your own. Get them in the comments below. Share and share alike among the community. If you fancy learning how we're going to deal with this bad boy, if you're a UCM, a Scourge, or a Shaltari player, then why not hop across to beastofwar.com and hop into the XLBS version of this show, where we're going to be looking at exactly that. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you again in a couple of weeks. 24 inches away means that I don't need to be worrying about activating reaction fire from...
You're going to be at the very extreme ranges, and only then if those those anti-aircraft units are in front of him.
Yeah.
Because your range is the same as the longest in the PHR army. So if you can shoot him, if they're not in front of him, they're not even going to be able to reach you.
Right, so Eagles combined with drones
they
could be the way to go.
Progress comes to a world of magic as science and the arcane combine to make marvels. Meet steampunk inventors and orc mystics at the Volsung Hub on beastofwar.com. Flames of War brings you the battles of World War II in epic 15mm scale. Go to the hub on beastsofwar.com to find news, tactics, and tutorials about the game.